You can be what you wanna be. Be what you wanna be. You just be what you wanna be with me.
Welcome to another episode of Happy AF. My name is Sambowker and I am so excited to have you here joining me today. So, another session, another day, and I'm curious how everybody's traveling right now. So I've had a really interesting few days, and I want to share with you. How I handle things when things don't go my way, and I'm really curious. In fact, you know what? Let's just call this what it is, right? When you get seriously fucked off, seriously fucking angry about something, how do you handle? What do you do when that happens for you? Okay? I know this show is called Happy AF, and if this is your first tuning in today, we don't always start like this, but I have signed up to be as authentic as I can, which means that you get me real and raw. You get me exactly as I'm feeling on that day. No holds barred. I share with you to the best of my ability, because I really believe that you don't need to see the shiny as shit version of me. You need to see the angry as fuck, happy as fuck, mad as fuck, crazy as fuck. You need to see all of the fucks, right? And today is one of those days when I've got plenty of fucks to give out. So hold on tight. If you need a language warning, I probably should have given that to you at the beginning, but if you know me well enough by now, then you probably already know that, you know, a few F-bombs are going to get dropped. And today is definitely going to be one of those days. And so I really just want to share with you, how I've learned that typically all humans, in my experience, tend to do emotions, right? Whether they express them, right, outwardly, or whether they suppress them, we all have a pattern in which we handle our emotions. And this show is called Happy AF, but the thing is, you can't be happy AF if you don't own and embrace all of your other emotions, right? You can't live life running around like la 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 la. It doesn't work like that if you don't also own the rah. You have to own all parts, okay? And in fact, you don't have to, you get to. It is a choice. And so I want to talk a lot today about how we get to embrace our emotions and how we get to make a decision about whether we want to hold on to that or whether we want to let it go. Because I'm all about sharing with you that we don't want to make emotions like good or bad. Any emotion, be it happy, angry, sad, joyful. We don't want to say, you know, like happy is a better vibrational, you know, emotion, and angry is really bad, because the reality is angry can be incredibly helpful as well as incredibly destructive. And so can happy. If you're running around doing happy all the time and there's bombs going off around you and you're not keeping your eyes open to that, then that's not helpful either. So I'm all about being authentic and honest and open to what's going on, but also being honest with myself about the fact that any emotion, even though my immediate response may be my natural reflex to something, and I can, like a muscle, okay, I can train my responses to be more empowering. So if my automatic response when someone cuts me off in a car is to go, rah, which it really is, or if my automatic response when someone doesn't say thank you is to go, oh, rude person, right? That is my natural inborn reflex, right? Now, whether that's been patterned in, whether it's been modeled, we could go on and discuss this over time. I would argue that we are, you know, we are pattern making machines, and we learn and we model behavior around us. But I also think that the reality is we have a choice. So we have our natural response to things, and then we have our patterned and trained way in which we can respond. So let me give you an example, okay? Like, let's go back to that car thing, because if anyone here has ever had an experience in a car where someone has cut them off, I want you to write in the comment section, hell yeah, right? It's happened to me, hell yeah. And I should be seeing some people in here, because truthfully, if you drive in a car then I know that you have had an experience at some point where somebody has cut you off, right? And if you're just sitting there quietly, I can see there's a few of you there, then, and you're not saying hell's yeah, all right, well, you must have like a blessed experience whilst driving, and I want to drive with you. But here's the thing, right? When someone cuts you off, okay, you can choose to go, dickhead, and get really angry. Or you could choose to go, wow, that guy's in a rush, or that girl's in a rush. I hope everything's okay, right? And the way that you respond to that situation will determine how you then end up feeling. And so, like, some people will come to me and go, I'm just a really angry driver, right? I'm a really angry driver. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Being on the road can be quite stressful and quite, anxiety riddled. And when you're anxious, then you can get angry. But if you can practice giving people love when you're in the car, right? And I always, I'm the queen of, I let everybody in, right? 98% of the time. I'm the person that will stop the traffic and let someone pull in. And then I'll let someone else pull in. Now, think of this for a second. On the day when I'm not in a rush and I'm doing that and someone's behind me running late, that person could potentially be getting very annoyed, right? And I'm just going, it's all right, it's only 2 minutes. But how long is 2 minutes? Well, it depends on which side of the toilet door you're on, right? If you're busting to go to the loo, 2 minutes is a long time. If you're not, hey, 2 minutes is only 2 lots of 60 seconds. So it's all about our perception, and our perception becomes our reality. So I want to go back to the car thing because, as I said, I think it's a really good example. And, I know that everybody experiences frustration. Well, actually, I can't say I know. I'm going to make an assumption, and as they say, assumptions make an ass out of me and an ass out of you, and we shouldn't really make them if you followed my 4 agreements post. But let's just, for the purpose of this exercise, let's just assume everybody here has had an experience in a car that's been frustrating. If you can sit back and think to yourself, what is the most gracious thing I can think about that person in that moment? Which is something that I learned from Brene Brown, or if, what is the kindest story, or what is the best story I could tell myself about this, which is something that I heard Glennon Doyle talk about in her book Untamed. And I really like both of those analogies because they actually put the power back with you. And if you think about anger comes up when you feel like your control has been taken from you. I'm going to say that again. Anger comes up when you feel like your control has been taken from you. And so we all like being in control, okay? We like being in control. So I've had a few days of feeling frustrated about a whole bunch of stuff, which I'm not going to go into because it's not relevant for this story. But what I will share about it is that it has been things that have happened that I have felt are somewhat out of my control, because when they involve other people, they're out of your control, okay? So the only control you have is how you choose to respond to it. And I want to ask you this because here's an interesting thing about emotions, right? We choose to either stay in a state of anger and frustration and annoyance, or we choose to let it go. And me personally, I have not mastered the letting it go part without feeling it for a bit first. And I don't even know if it's a good idea to let it go before you feel it. In fact, I think that, I actually think that it's a good thing. I think you do need to feel it. And I think you need to sit with that emotion and go, okay, why am I feeling the frustration? Now, I'm not so much talking about driving in the car situation, because truthfully, we'd all be much happier if when you're in a car, just let everybody in. Right? Let people in. If you can see someone struggling, let them in. It makes you feel good. And then, here's my challenge for you. Don't get frustrated if they don't thank you, because now you're doing it with expectation. That's still my work in progress. I do it because I know it's a good thing to do, but my ego still wants that pat on the back. And when I don't get it, I get a bit frustrated. So, hey, I'm not that evolved yet. I'm not a monk. I'm working on it. But when I'm talking about situations that involve other people, especially if they involve people that are close to you that you love, right? And typically for me, I don't tend to get too angry about anyone that I don't care about, because truthfully, if I don't care about you, then you really don't have an impact on me. So my theory about anger is that to really actually get angry, you have to actually love the person. Now, my daughter would disagree with me, but she's 10. So I'm going to call mum's rule on this one, and I'm going to say, if you really want to get angry with someone, then typically it's because there is actually a real emotion there, okay? And so here's my situation. I've been frustrated about something, and instead of just letting it go, I've been stewing on it for 24 hours now. Oh, yeah, 24 hours. So yesterday I chose to stay in bed for the day with my daughter, and truthfully we like doing that on Sunday anyway. It's a doona day, we kind of hung out, but there was an energy of frustration and annoyance. And what I did is something that I watched my daughter do, and it's really interesting when you can observe someone else doing it. Even more so interesting when you know you're doing it and you're also choosing to do it, and you're choosing to still keep doing it. And I've had to really sit and have a look at this with myself over the last 24 hours. So here's what I did. I think I might have mentioned this last week or perhaps the week before. I talked about stacking events. So I was frustrated about one thing, right? That was seemingly out of my control in that moment anyway. And then I started stacking events. And there was this that annoyed me, and then there was this that annoyed me, and then there was this that annoyed me. And so by the time last night rolled around, I was really cranky, right? I took my daughter to see a movie, and and we watched the movie, and even all the way through the movie, I probably didn't enjoy the movie to the good degree that I could have if I could have just let this go. And then again, woke up this morning and still cranky, right? And stacking more things on top to be cranky. And there's this that I'm cranky about, and there's this. So I'm really happy that I get to do this show with you guys, because I wanted to share with you the process that I went through. And I don't want to make this bad, right? I don't want to make what I did a bad thing, because for me, I feel like I needed to go through it in this particular way. And I don't know, as I evolve, maybe things will change, right? But can anyone here relate? Have you ever had a moment where you felt really angry about something, and then you've noticed that's annoyed you, and then all of a sudden you've started looking for other things that annoy you, and before you know it, you've got a shit sandwich this big and you're really freaking pissed off? Well, that's what I did, okay? What's funny though with that shit sandwich is that for me, the way I handle it is that first I get it, and then I spew it out. Usually not to the people that are involved in the situation, really. Typically it's for me, other people. And I'll vomit it out of my system. I'll listen to some really good music. I'll jump up and down and I will shake it out of my body. I will listen to like music that like quite often will be angry, or it'll be really wordy and really kind of like, yeah. And I'm letting it go. Through my movement, I'm letting the energy go, right? I've got a cushion that says Samantha's Scream Cushion. Didn't need to go that far this time because it's really not that big a deal, right? But in the past, I might have grabbed the cushion, put it to my face and screamed and screamed and screamed, or got in my car, cranked the music, screamed and screamed and screamed. Has anyone ever done that? Has anyone ever jumped in their car and screamed at the top of their lungs because they've been so angry? If you haven't done it, highly recommend it. And the best thing is nobody really knows that you're doing it, because you could just be singing, right? But the thing is that emotion, right? And then, cry it out. Now, I didn't cry, but my daughter was also having a moment yesterday. And she said to me, Mummy, I feel really sad, and I don't know why I feel sad. And I'm like, have a cry. She goes, but there's no reason. Like, she had to have a really good reason before she was allowed to cry. And I just think this is such an important topic to talk about, because she's 10 years old and she's already decided that she's not allowed to be angry or sad unless she's got a really good reason. And that's just not reality, right? Sometimes we just feel angry for no reason. Sometimes we just feel sad for no reason. Sometimes, and if we try and suppress it, that's the worst thing that we can do. So I just want to show you something that I did. So I did all of those things. I kind of ranted about it. I whinged about it. I sulked. I spent the day in bed. I was probably not as productive as I would have liked to have been, which then, made me cranky with myself. I did all of these things, okay? But it's now 20 past 10, and honestly, I will get off this session with you guys today and I will be great, right? Because for me, this was my pattern interrupt. Today, I've got to tell you, if this was not showing up here for you guys, if this was not something I had committed to and made a promise to myself and a promise to everybody else that I would be here at 10 a.m., today would have been the day that I would have found an excuse to not show up. I would have found an excuse to not show up. My daughter wanted to go to the Easter show today. I felt bad because I couldn't take her. See, that was another thing I stacked. So then I was a shit mum because now, I can't take her to the Easter show. And I just kept stacking, right? But for me, this is what I did yesterday, okay? Because I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when everything feels really, really hard, there's a reason, okay? And I'm going to share this with you. Now, you may judge the shit out of me right now. You might laugh along with me. I don't think you will, actually. Or you might just think it's hilarious. Now, I don't care what your spiritual beliefs are. You can believe in God, Buddha, Jesus, spirits, angels. Doesn't really matter. For me, when I go through phases with these things, but every so often when I'm really kind of like going, like seriously, could you cut me some slack? Could you just, rah? When I do that, I've got a whole bunch of different books like this. This is a little angel card set, okay? And look, here's the thing. I am a skeptical believer when it comes to all of these things. And I say skeptical because, I feel like there's no harm in believing in it, right? There's no harm in thinking, I think this is relevant, because I believe if I go back into my scientific way of thinking, I believe in the reticular activating system, which is the filter between the subconscious and the conscious, right? And I believe in confirmation bias, which is that I think something and therefore I will delete, distort and generalize every bit of information I come to so it will match my reality. So even though some people could think this stuff is woo-woo, like my dad totally does, right? But here's my thing. I don't read books that will tell me fortunes that could possibly be bad, okay? The reality is all of these angel cards will always tell me something that is useful, that's empowering, that sends me in a good, sends me on a good path. But it was really interesting. I did this one. This is called the Alana Fairchild Light Worker Oracle Book, because I like to think I'm a light worker. I'm going to need to pull out some specs here. Here's one of the cards that I pulled, right? And I want to share this with you, just this little snippet, because even though I do this work, right? And even though I am committed to living my best life, and I'm committed to constant and never-ending improvement, and I'm committed to just like showing up and being freaking, living full out, like playing full out. I'm committed to that. I just wanted to let you know that like I crash and burn all the time. In fact, I probably crash and burn way more than the average person because I'm constantly pushing myself beyond my comfort zone. I'm constantly pushing myself beyond where I want to actually feel it's safe to be, right? And I mean that mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like every week I jump up here and I do this, and I have to say to myself, it doesn't matter if nobody's watching, it doesn't matter if nobody comments, it doesn't matter if nobody gives me thumbs up. I have to let go of all of that because there's nothing any of you guys could say that I haven't already said to myself. Now, I'm telling you, right? We are our own toughest critic. There's nothing anyone else could say to you that is worse than the stuff you say to yourself. And if you think inside your mind for a minute and think about the voices that you hear, and no, you don't have to be crazy. If you don't have voices going on in there, brother, sister, mother, cousin, I'm telling you, you are crazy. We've all got those voices. But the most critical voice we have is our own, right? So okay, without further ado, look at me here, justifying and explaining what I'm about to read to you. See, again, worried what you might be thinking from a judgment point of view. But anyway, I'm going to read this to you just so you can see. You'll like this. It was called Initiation by Water. Now, I'll read the first little bit, which is a bit woo-woo, but the next part will make a lot of sense. It basically says, your spiritual path this lifetime involves you becoming a clear channel for spirit. You are meant to communicate with higher guidance from loving spiritual worlds. Your initiation by water will further open your receiving channels, dislodge lower vibrational material, and sensitize you to the subtle realms of light. You are being open to a world of which you may only have dreamed, such in its beauty, grace, and love. Okay, now, that bit, all right, that all sounds a bit esoteric, and I can vibe with that because I'm all about vibration and I get it and it makes sense for me. But check this bit out. For all of you realists out there that maybe don't believe in God, Buddha, spirit, whatever, that just, even atheists, check this bit out because you'll relate with this. Situations have been arising in your world that evoke emotional reactions and challenges your opinions and beliefs. Oh, fuck yeah. You may not feel in control. You may feel like your world and your emotions have become like a stormy sea in which you are tossed about. And you are doing your best not to drown in the chaos. Oh my God, is this person literally in my life right now? Yet, you are not to fear it. It is stirring that which has been held onto and within so it can be released. The storm will pass and the waters of your emotions shall become more serene. Right? So, you could compare the process to a glass of water with muddy sediment in the bottom, and the water appears clear as the mud is left to lie. Yet once the water gets stirred up and the mud arises, then it can be filtered out and the water will be clearer than ever before. The turbulence was a step that led to greater clarity. Now, the reason that this is so important for you to get, right? Before anything good happens, shit's got to go down. The old has to die, right? So, like, when I read this and I, like, am reminded again, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? This makes so much sense. Of course, everything is uncomfortable right now. I tell my clients this analogy, for fuck's sake. I say to them, when shit's going sideways, I give the analogy of a jar with pebbles and sand and everything's going sideways. And I'm like, hey, we've just shook it up. We've got to let it settle, right? So, like, there's a whole heap more, right? But the reality is that this whole thing is about letting me know that my fixed opinions or beliefs or long-held emotional patterns based on unresolved past pain are the sediment at the bottom of the glass. Hold the glass up to the light. Can the light shine through the sediment? No, but it can be seen through the clear water. Remove the sediment and the water will be clear enough to allow the light to shine through. Okay. That might have been a bit, hippie trippy for some of you, but the reason I wanted to share that with you is that, hang on, it's you know what? I'll explain why. The main thing is that when stuff is going sideways, often people will go into this space of, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to fix this, No. Here's the thing. When everything is turned upside down, when you are struggling, that is not the time to go making drastic changes. That is like asking a drunk person to drive. That is like trying to reason with someone who is on hallucinogenic mushrooms. You are in crazy town mode at that point. Don't go changing anything. Sit, fucking breathe, take a moment, scream, shout, let it out, whatever you need to do. But whatever you do, do not go and make drastic changes. Don't cut your hair, don't dye your hair, don't dump your husband, your wife. Don't make any drastic changes. Because I promise you, that is just the old you that is dying. When the new you reemerges out of that, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, then you will know what is the next best step to make. Okay? Honestly, like, I cannot implore you enough to understand this, because when we are in that state of transition, when we are in that state of pain, that is the time we want to run, we want to retreat, we want to run, we want to fight, we want to do something that's probably not helpful, and we just need to sit. It's okay to retreat, right? You need to decide how long retreating is necessary. Sometimes it might be a day, sometimes it might be an hour, sometimes it might be a week, right? It doesn't matter, whatever is right for you, okay? What I will say is this: if you give yourself that permission to just sit and breathe and scream, and then, look, I had to bring out the big guns, baby. I was saging and Palo Santoing myself this morning, right? If you don't know what that is, hit me up and I'll let you know. Palo Santo, sage. I've got my angel cards out. I've got my music, right? I'm doing all of the things. And I know, don't talk to people that I'm angry with, don't text, don't drink, don't take drugs, not that I do, but don't do any of that shit, right, when you are in that state, because what you need to do is just allow the old part of you to leave. The old part of you is dying, and often they go with a fight. So wherever you're at right now, okay, there is a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and if you're into moons and planets and stuff, then they could tell you there's a lot of different things going on. And I have a lot of friends that are quite connected, and when I talk to them right now, they are all saying things like, "Ooh, there's a lot of energy going on right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, damn, I feel it. I'm absolutely feeling a lot of energy." But I also know that I'm just on the other side of a massive breakthrough. We need to break down to break through. And I don't know where I will be on the other side of that breakthrough, but I do know that I can't break through without the breakdown. And no, they don't get any easier. It doesn't matter how many you've been through. It never feels comfortable to be in this particular place. Okay? And that's why in the past, when I've tried to start any of these types of shows where I've actually been out here, truthfully, like full disclosure, when it's gotten to this point, I've recoiled, I've pulled back, and then I've gone into my head, and then I've gone into judgment, and this time I've committed 100%. Even if nobody ever sees this, right? And I can see that there's 4 people here now, so someone's watching it, but the reality is even if this never ever gets out to where I would like it to, even if it really doesn't have the impact that I really truly hope it does, the help it's going to give me just by standing strong and not allowing myself to fall in a pile on the ground and continue to show up each week, I know that that's going to help me show up and be that vessel that I am here to be. I know it's going to give me the ability to stand strong in the face of my own judgment and in the face of my own internal critic, which, trust me, mine is loud. Like mine, she's freaking nasty. She's a nasty bitch. So, yeah, you do, Christian, you do. Absolutely. You need to break down to break through. So, I know that my commitment to show up here every week, and I know that as I was walking in the door 15 minutes before this started and my lights were not sitting how I wanted them to sit and everything was falling over and I was there going, rah! I was still really excited because I knew that by getting on and speaking and sharing and letting it out and teaching you guys, like that's my goal. Okay, so these are the things I want you to take away from today. All emotions are good. You are in charge of them. When you don't want to let them go, or when you're not able to let them go, it's because you're choosing to not let them go. Yeah, I wish we could fast forward this stage as well, sister. Leanne, I tell you, trust me, when I figure out the magical wand, I'll let you know. We can definitely speed it up, right? There's no doubt we can speed it up. But it's feeling it and going through it that's important. So I really just want to encourage you in this moment when you're feeling not well, and especially, when you get sick, know this. Often your sickness, in fact, I actually think all sickness is related to a breakthrough, right? Because what do you have to do when you're sick? You have to rest. And when else do you give yourself permission to rest without feeling judged or criticized? By yourself, by everybody else. Oh my God, who do you think you are? Resting in the middle of the day. You should be busy. You should be doing stuff. There's someone on here right now that can absolutely relate to what I'm saying. And I just want you to know that that is actually your body saying, I'm not well, and you're going through massive, you've just literally done a complete makeover, right? Imagine if you had a plastic surgery makeover from head to toe, right? And then imagine your internal organs are exactly the same. So when you are transforming your mind and your spirit, when you are transforming, that is hard work. And we expect our mind and spirit to transform whilst working and parenting and lifing and humaning. No, we actually need to rest. So the body goes, right, this human is not going to transform unless they get sick, because when they're sick, they'll rest, and when they rest, we can transform and we can heal. So yeah, it's a really interesting process. So this fast forward process happens when you're unwell. So, embrace the sick. That's why now, I used to soldier on with Codral. Those of you that are in Australia will remember that ad. Soldier on with Codral, soldier on, soldier on. No, don't soldier on. That's your body telling you. Lay down, rest, relax, recover, right? And transform. If you give yourself permission to rest, relax, recover, you will transform. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to love you guys and leave you. I was a little bit late coming on, so I'm a little bit late running over. I love you guys so much, and I'm super excited that you keep tuning in each week to hang out with me. Something that I'm really passionate about is, as I've mentioned, helping people to really just embrace all of their fabulosity, which means you get to learn with me on the job, because I am nowhere near in life where I want to be in terms of my fabulosity. I'm tapping into my creative resources every single day. I want to take you guys along on the journey, and I want to share with you what I've learned along the way. I've had the pleasure of working with some of the best mentors and coaches and spiritual teachers on the planet, right? I've been very blessed, and I want to share that all with you guys. So I have a workshop coming up. It's on the 30th of April. I would love for you to come. It's a free workshop. I'm giving you guys free tickets. I'm sponsoring the event. I'm going to be giving away thousands of dollars worth of prizes. It's at 10 a.m., 30th of April, Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you want a ticket, hashtag free ticket here in the comments section, or DM me if you don't want to put your name to it, and I'm happy to hook you up with a ticket. It's on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can come. And I would love you to be there. And it's called Abundance, Prosperity, Clarity Unleashed. It's all about helping you tap into your insides, into your creative juices, and getting your fabulosity happening in all areas of your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your spiritual practice. I want to make sure that you are living a fully expressed life. So yeah, come and hang out with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as I said, I'm going to be giving away lots of cool prizes. So you've got to be in it to win it, my friends. And yeah, on that note, I hope you have an amazing Monday. Please make it count. You will never get this day back again. It is a magical day to be alive. And yeah, I love you all. Big hugs. And yeah, we will hook you up, Christian, for sure. Big hugs. Mwah! Love you. Bye.
You wanna